I'm from Nekota and I love listening to Today FM.
My name is Ken Godler and I'm from Australia, but I'm part Fijian from Watraki, and I love listening to Today FM Rocks.
For the best music and less talk, we tune into Today FM in National Village. Today FM rocks.
My name is Inai Ali and I'm from Ba, and I love the big breakfast on Today FM. I just love it and hope you love it too.
My name is Jay from La Paz. I love listening to Today FM. Today FM rocks.
My name is Naushin and I'm from Sambeto, and I love Today FM. Today FM rocks.
Today's hit music on Today FM.
Good evening, I'm Jackie Spate and this is FBC News. Tonight, Prime Minister says relations with Australia are entering a new era. Attorney General says Fiji won't move forward as long as corruption exists. And mental health stigma still a concern in Fiji. Prime Minister Voreqe Bainimarama says we are now in a new era of relationships between Fiji and Australia. On an official visit to Australia, Bainimarama commended his counterpart Malcolm Turnbull's administration for forging a new political and developmental re-engagement. Maggie Boyle has more.
Opening the Fiji Trade and Investment Symposium in Sydney today, Prime Minister Voreqe Bainimarama heaped praises on the Australian government.
He and other members of the current Australian government are showing a much better understanding of Fiji's challenges and aspirations than some of their predecessors.
As one of Fiji's key trading partners and closest allies, Bainimarama described the new era as healthier and more dynamic. Standing out in the region, the PM talked up Fiji as an investment pot of gold.
World-class telecommunications, our investment incentives, including duty concessions, investment allowances, and some of the lowest corporate and personal taxes in the region. As I keep saying at every opportunity, Fiji is open for business.
This was also driven home by Trade Minister Fayaz Koya.
The total investments in Fiji has been on an upward trajectory and continues to contribute about 25% and above towards the Fijian GDP.
Despite the evident goodwill, the PM also highlighted issues that need more discussion.
Fiji has emphatically not withdrawn from PESA Plus. We are still at the table. Yet neither are we prepared to sign the current document, endorse the current legal text, because we simply don't believe that it is in our interest to do so.
The one-day symposium was open to major businesses in Australia looking at investment here across the agriculture and tourism sector. Maggie Boyle, FBC News.
Fiji Times publisher Hank Arts, editor-in-chief Fred Wesley, Nailalakai editor Anare Ravula, and letter writer Chosai Wangambada have all pleaded not guilty to inciting communal antagonism. The matter was called before Justice Priyantha Fernando in the Suva High Court this morning. Shireen Shivan reports.
The three Fiji Times staff and a writer to the Nailalakai newspaper are alleged to have made or caused to be published a statement that is likely to incite dislike, hatred or antagonism of the Muslim community. It is alleged that on 27 April 2016, an article was published in the newspaper's Itoke language which accused Muslims of invading foreign lands and killing, raping and abusing women and children. The Fiji Times Limited is also charged but was not represented in court this morning. Justice Priyantha Fernando was informed company director Rajesh Patel will appear on behalf of the newspaper. The judge has advised that a company letter of authorization is needed to indicate that Patel will represent Fiji Times and will take the plea on the next date. The case has been adjourned to October 28th for the Fiji Times plea with a trial date set from June 5th to 16th next year. Meanwhile, Hank Arts' bail variation to fly to New Zealand was denied in the Magistrates Court yesterday. Sharin Shivan, FBC News.
Fiji's economy cannot move forward without the elimination of corruption. This was the main talking point for Acting Prime Minister Ayaz Said Qayyum at the Fiji Institute of Accountants Leaders Conference in Suva. Rachel Nath reports.
Underhanded practices which compromise good governance and the rule of law won't be tolerated. We have had a long history in Fiji, unfortunately, where there are certain business houses, there are certain individuals and professionals, etc., who do not necessarily believe in strong governance, who do not necessarily believe in strong government, because it is not in their interest.
Acting Prime Minister says there are some lines which should not be crossed. Principles of integrity must be respected, especially by a group of people who represent some of the brightest minds in Fiji.
So there are many people, the idea of doing business is to draw personal relationships, and based on those personal relationships, get concessions, get waivers, get deals done. That cannot happen in a modern economy.
AR Said Kiyum told the accountants to stop tarnishing the system by playing by their own rules and should always maintain professionalism.
Because you take some officer from a department for lunch, or you take the minister for lunch, you take some regulator for lunch. That should not be the case.
We hope to work, in conjunction with government to try and come up with holistic and realistic, solutions for the country as a whole.
More than 80 accountants gathered in discussions today in ways in which they can further contribute to Fiji's economy. The Fiji Institute of Accountants also discussed tax policies, ways in which they can become better leaders, and exporting opportunities. Rachel Ma, FBC News.
1 in every 4 adults experiences mental health difficulties but receives little or no help from hospital emergency units. Minister for Health and Medical Services Rosie Akbar says mental health needs to be emphasized as family and community support is crucial. Kelly Vadala reports.
The theme for this year's Mental Health Day is Dignity in Mental Health, Psychological and Mental Health First Aid for All, aiming at addressing stigma associated with mental illnesses. Minister Rosie Akbar says mental health and distress is viewed differently because of ignorance, poor knowledge, stigma and discrimination. She also says it's time to realize that mental health hospital is not the place for a person to be kept for years or a lifetime.
Families end up abandoning their loved ones and become homeless because of mental inability, and they end up in our streets and eventually they end up in our hospitals here.
There are currently 51 patients at the St. Giles Hospital, of which 15 have been neglected by their families.
There is a need to understand and support persons who suffer from mental illness who need help. They should not be rejected or neglected but should be attended.
Mental illness survivor Andy Blake says support is important for people to cope.
My advice to anyone that might suffer or is suffering from or knows someone that suffers from any form of mental illness like depression is to always encourage them to be positive.
I myself face a lot of stigma as a health professional, and every day when I first started here, people would call my home, they would call my family, and they would ask them if everything was all right with me.
Doctors from St. Giles in Suva travel around Fiji treating people who would otherwise go without medical assistance. Kelly Vadala, FBC News.
The Ministry of Education has major projects to be rolled out in 2017. Minister Dr. Mahendra Reddy made the revelation while commemorating World Food Day at Vayuto Primary School in Suva today. Ali Kimbia has more.
The Ministry of Education intends to create more awareness on food security in all schools.
Every week, students will be talking about a particular theme on values and virtue. And the second is weekly themes on food security, health and well-being. This will get students to discuss for a small period of time every week on a thematic area on food, health and well-being.
With over 226,000 students in the system, Dr. Reddy says it's important to educate them on food and income security.
And we wish to launch a major strategy of food and income security by using the students, and details of this strategy would be announced early next year.
The message of World Food Day also isn't lost on peoples.
I think World Food Day is important so that we can know about our food and our agriculture and what to eat.
I think World Food Day is important because people in Fiji will know what type of food we should eat.
Helps raise awareness, makes us aware of the different varieties of food that are here in Fiji,
It also gives us a sense of appreciation.
With more than hundreds of students commemorating World Food Day today at Wewuto Primary School, students have also been urged to have a close watch on what they eat every day to maintain a healthy lifestyle. Ali Kimbia, FBC News.
3 days remain for top Bollywood singer, songwriter, composer and performer Mika Singh to rock the stage in Fiji. FBC Chief Executive Riaz Said Qayyum says excitement is building as days go by, and there is also a surprise for tertiary students.
Tickets are selling extremely fast, and what we've decided to do is we have got a selected number of seats that we are going to give a discount on only for students.
Tertiary students with identification cards get a discount on Monday. Coming up on FBC News, Fijian Elections Office to conduct student body polls. And Red Cross begins annual appeal. Stay with us.
Iyo mbula bina tangu epeli untuk taliten la porong mbula FM nabu.
Enam bantuan jinangan mbula FM enusur. Mbula FM enam bantuan ser.
Mbula sia buni babu lambasa nada ko bila merikibi mbula FM enam bantuan ser talita itu ngai lambas.
Mbula FM enam bantuan ser.
Welcome back. This is FBC News. A nurse charged with one count of sexual assault took the stand in the Suva Magistrates Court this afternoon. It is alleged the male nurse sexually assaulted a juvenile at a village in Levuka last year. He told the court that the victim had a sexually transmitted infection and it was his duty to examine her. Prosecutors questioned why the accused didn't call a female nurse or a relative of the victim to be present, to which he replied the girl had asked him to keep things confidential. The case has been adjourned to 30th November. Senior executives from various companies across Fiji are gathered at the Sofitel Resort in Nadi for the Top Executive Conference. Organised by the Fiji Commerce and Employees Federation, the much-anticipated event is a forum to network and hear best practices from international and local speakers. Ellen Stolz has more.
This year's theme is Expanding the Possibilities, a sustainable and resilient nation, one that's timely and affects every business in Fiji.
Tropical Cyclone Winston. And we've seen the effects that it's caused firsthand on businesses. We've also seen how businesses rallied together and able to get out to those who needed assistance, although in an ad hoc manner, but they were out there for the first.
Climate change and resilience was a hot topic, and heads of companies got a chance to hear